Hey, horror fans, once again, it is me, the Horror Miser Monty G. It's time to do another movie review. It's time to finally review the movie The Lodge. Yes. Now, The Lodge is a 2019 psychological horror film. It was directed by Veronica France and her nephew, Servant Falaha. They also wrote the film with Sergio Casca. Now, the film stars Riley Keough, Jaden Martell, Leah McHugh, Richard Armitage, and Alicia Silverstone. Now, the plot is very simple. Soon-to-be stepmother is snowed in with her fiance's two children at a remote holiday village. Just as the relationship begins to thaw between the trio, some strange and frightening events take place. And I do mean strange and frightening. And that's basically what the plot of the movie is. Now, when a woman decides to marry a man that has children from a previous relationship, she tries to be nice to them so that she doesn't become the stereotypical stepmother. You know, those stepmothers are evil and bad. However, filmmakers Veronica France and Serving Falaha, who brought us Goodnight Mommy, throws a monkey wrench with their latest tale, the dark and twisted psychological horror film, The Lodge. No, it's a simple story when you break it all down. After a tragedy that you see in the beginning of the movie, I do mean a tragedy, we see Richard inform his children, teenage boy Aiden and his younger daughter Mia, that he's going to marry Grace, a woman he met while researching an extremist Christian cult. Now, of course, the children aren't happy and they treat her like shit. I mean, terrible. They are very terrible towards Grace. It's mainly due to the events at the beginning of the movie, which I will not reveal. People who saw the movie know what I'm talking about. Later on, in trying to get the children to like her, Richard decides to bring Grace along to the holiday lodge in the remote area of Massachusetts. Now, despite Grace's best efforts, the children still treat her like crap. Now, when Richard decides he has to leave for work reasons, it looks like the children finally start to bond with Grace. However, weird shit starts to happen with Grace and the children. Things take a turn for the worse, and they are now trapped in a lodge, and Grace's mental state just starts to deteriorate. And I do mean deteriorate very badly. Now, I love the setup Veronica and Severin have created here. The lodge looks so beautiful with the snow falling off the roof, the trees with the snow on them. It's like a winter wonderland. It looks very peaceful and relaxing. I love how lovely how they had set the stage up for the beginning part of the movie. It's so beautiful. Now, this changes during the second act of the movie, where the location now becomes isolated, creepy, and frightening. Fear and desperation take over the situation, and the situation becomes deadly for Grace and the children. Now, I love the tension that Veronica and Severin have created here in this film. Now, they don't rely on cheap jump scares or CGI. Everything that happens in the film, especially in the second act, is in your face, making what appears happening is very believable. This is what drives the film and keeps the audience on its toes. Now, Riley Keough does a fine job as Grace Marshall. She portrays Grace as a mild-mannered woman who obviously has some secrets about her background, as we learn later on in the film. You could tell that she wants to get along with the children despite how terrible they treat her. Like, look, I'm just trying to be nice to you kids. Stop treating me like shit. I mean, you could see the pain and frustration Grace has when things start falling apart. At first, she's angry. There's a scene where, unfortunately, Aiden spies on her while she's trying to take a shower, and she's scared, and the audience starts to worry if and when she'll break, because that eventually will happen. We know something bad is going to happen to her, and we're just waiting for her to break. Now, you do have to get credit for the child actors, Jaden Martell, and Leah McHugh, I think that's how you pronounce her name, who play Aiden and Mia. Now, Aiden is your typical teenage boy who wants nothing to do with Grace. He's pissed off, he's angry, and Maya is an upset and sad little girl. They do a fine job in playing their roles without being annoying, because that's one thing you have to do with child actors, especially in a movie like this, because they drive the film. They're the focal part of the film. You don't want kids to be annoying, and both Jaden and Leah do a fine job in portraying Aiden and Mia. Now, my main and only problem with the film is that I found it to be a bit predictable, especially during the second act of the film. I believe if scenes regarding the background of a certain character were revealed later on, perhaps that would make the second act of the movie more believable. That's my main problem with the film. I'm pretty sure people who've seen the film hopefully know what I'm talking about, and that's one of the main problems with the film, because you have that scene that happens at one part of the film, so when the second act of the movie happens, I knew what was happening in that film, but I know who was the cause of it, and it kind of took away some of the stuff that was happening. I won't reveal it here, but you know what I'm talking about. No, I guess why Veronica and Severin wrote the story this way is to show what could happen to people who are suffering from emotional trauma as a child and the effects that take place when they become an adult. I guess it's the reason why they did it this way. It did take my enjoyment of the film. I just wish the scene would have occurred later on in the movie. Now, of course, most horror fans are not going to like this one because it's a slow burn. It's a slow burn, slow-paced movie. There is no blood or gore in this film. Sort of like some of the artsy horror films that have come out that are very popular, like It Comes at Night and It Follows. And some people, I've heard it compared it to Hereditary, but I believe Hereditary is more scarier than this film is. Again, Veronica and Severin rely more on emotional torment and frightening visuals than even what Hereditary did. For me, this was a dark and emotional ride, and despite the predictable outcome, it's still a satisfying psychological horror movie that could be on my top 10 best horror movies of 2020. That depends on what other horror movies are going to come out this year, because we're still in the grips of COVID-19. So, I'm going to give The Lodge 3.5 out of my 5 bloody gold coins. I'm going to give 3.5 out of my 5 bloody gold coins. I truly did enjoy this movie, despite the slow pace and the predictability of some aspects of the film. It's still a dark and twisted ride. I hope you guys who've seen it enjoy it just as much as I did. So that's my review and video for The Lodge. Hope you guys did enjoy it. For those who have seen The Lodge, what do you think about it? Do you think it's one of the top horror films of the year, as I've heard from some people, or do you think this is just one of these throwaway artsy horror films? Make sure you leave your comments on your comment section below, and tell me what you thought about The Lodge. And again, I want to thank everyone for watching my video. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here, please hit that subscriber button and ring that notification bell. That way you'll be notified anytime when I put up new videos such as this one. Also, all my social media links will be in the description box below as well. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G, and always remember, horror rules. I'll see you in my next video. I'm out.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.